Hi guys, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be learning about triggers. Triggers can be a button you press or a volume the player enters. So we're going to be making both today. We have our pelican that flies in here, and right now it flies in as soon as the game starts. And we're going to change that so as soon as we enter an area over here, that pelican will start flying and come to that spot. In addition, we currently have the map to keep respawning AI. We made that script in an earlier video. Now, we're going to get rid of that script and make a new script where we press a button and it'll instantly spawn all the squads on the map again. Kind of like a map reset button. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a button to reset all the AI on the map. So let's go to Objects, Devices, and let's go to Controls. Now since we're on Zanzibar, we can just right click and use the default controller, which is the house gate control. Now I have an earlier video that you can watch that will teach you a bit about these controllers and where to find them and bring them into your level. So we're just going to use this controller and we're going to place it in a spot right at the beginning over here. Cool, so now that we have this off to the side here, let's get this working so when we press it, it will reset all the AI, essentially killing them and respawning them. Let's go ahead and give this button a name. So I'm just going to call this AI underscore respawn underscore button. Now next thing we want to do is go to the scripts folder for our map. Mine will be under levels, multi, Zanzibar, scripts. Now you'll remember before we had made a script called respawn AI. Right click it and select edit with Notepad++. Similar to my previous video, I've just put my Notepad++ on the right and my Sapien on the left. So with our respawn AI script open, we want to go to the beginning of every single line and just put a colon, just like this. Now what the colon does is essentially comments out that line. What that means is basically this line will not get read. You could also use this as a way to make notes to yourself. For example, click space a few times here, make a colon and write creates script to kill AI. And then this will basically help you remember what your script does. Anyways, now that we have all these lines commented out with a colon in front of them, let's save this file. Now, back in our Sapien here, let's go File, Compile Scripts, and you can see it was successful, and let's do a map reset. Now, if we go to our grunts here, they should not respawn. So you can see here, I've just killed this group, and they are not coming back. Cool, so that works. Now, in Notepad++, let's click Enter a few times. Let's create our new script. So let's do open bracket script continuous, and let's call it respawn all. Now let's click enter, open bracket, and now we're going to write sleep underscore until. And now similar to what we did up ahead here to make our AI keep respawning, we use the sleep until command to make it wait until the squad only had less than one living AI. The way we're going to be using it here is we're going to write sleep until space open bracket equals new line open bracket device underscore get underscore position space, and now we want to get the name of our button that we made. So we can just copy it over from Sapien and just paste it here. And now let's put a closing bracket there, space, add a 1, and we'll do 2 closing brackets. Now let's put a new line and another open bracket and write sleep space 1. Now, some of you are asking what sleep means and what the number is after it. So the number after sleep is the amount of frames in game you want to wait until you run the next command. So if I write sleep 60, that'll essentially mean sleep for 1 second because the game runs at 60 frames per second. So since I want this to run pretty quick, I'm just going to write sleep 1 with a closing bracket. Now let's click enter and open bracket. And here we're going to want to write AI underscore kill underscore silent space. And now we're going to put the name of our squad in. So let's go to Sapien and go to our AI squads. And you can copy it from your Sapien and just make sure to put it in quotes, just like this. Now put a closing bracket. And I already know I have 4 squads, so I'm just going to click enter a few times and add in 4 of these. And I'm just going to change these names so they match our squads that we have in Sapien. So just to explain this a bit, we have a script that's always running, which is the continuous, and it's called respawn all. And it's going to sleep until that button equals 1. So what we're doing here is we're getting the position of the AI respawn button. Now, if you clicked on controls and you click on your AI respawn button, and notice if you scroll down a bit, there's a position group. So we're getting the position of that and we're checking if it's equal to 1. Now, if it is equal to 1, what we're going to do is wait for 1 frame, and we're going to use the command AI kill silent, which basically means when enemies die, sometimes they might do a scream, and AI kill silent will make it so they all die silently. Now we have the first half done, but we need to respawn them. And now we're just going to use the same command that we used in our earlier script, which is the open bracket AI underscore place. And now we're just going to put in quotes the name of our squad. So we're going to do that for all of our squads. Again, you can just copy and paste this to make this a bit easier. Cool. Now there's one last thing we need to do that's really important. We're going to want to do an open bracket and put device underscore set underscore position space AI underscore respawn button, which is the name of our button here. Space after that is 0, close bracket, and new line, and just a close bracket again. What we're doing is basically killing the AI in this first part, waiting 1 frame, placing all the AI again, and then setting the value of this button back to 0, because when we click it, it gets set to 1. So now let's hit Control S in Notepad++, go over to Sapien, File, Compile Scripts, and let's do a scenario map reset. Now, if you noticed, we click the button and everyone respawned again. Cool. So we can do this as many times as we want, and it'll basically reset them back in that original spot. So you can see I can click it again right here. So we're done with this script where we make our AI respawn. So before we exit out of this, I actually don't want to respawn this pelican. So let's just get rid of that and save again. And now let's open up our script that we had made in our previous video with the pelican. So here we are in our previous script. And the first thing we're going to want to do is create a trigger volume. So to do that, we're going to go into game data, trigger volumes, and let's just right click on the map. And now you can click and drag kind of these sides and make it any size you want. And I'm just going to place it right over here. Cool. So now that I have that placed, we're going to want to go ahead and name this trigger volume. So let's call it trigger volumes Peli. So the next thing we're going to want to do is now in our script here, we're going to be modifying this startup script that's called call Peli. Now let's hit enter and tab, and let's do an open bracket and write sleep underscore Intel space. Now open bracket equals space, open bracket, volume underscore test underscore players. Now do a space, and what we're going to do is write the name of our volume. So we know our volume name here is trigger volumes Pelly, so we can just copy that and paste it here. Now let's do a close bracket, space, and write true in all capital letters, and have two more closing brackets. Let's go to a new line now, and let's write open bracket AI underscore place, and now the name of our squad, which we know is Pelican 1. Let's do a closing quote and a closing bracket. This script will only run when the trigger volumes Pelly has a value of true. Now this volume underscore test players will return a value of true only if the player is in that volume. And now let's save, file, compile scripts. And now let's also click our Pelican 1 and turn off initially placed. And now let's do a map reset. So you can see here, once I walk into that trigger zone, the Pelican will spawn and it'll fly like we made it in the last video. Cool, so that's pretty much it for this video. I want to give a big shout out to all my supporters and Patreons for making these videos possible. And thank you to my legendary Patreons SGT Texas Ranger. I'll see you guys in the next one.